Welcome to Govs TV and 91.9 Public Affairs. I'm Micah Terrell. There's a really big need for volunteers to help high school students who are transitioning into college. It's all part of the Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Achieves program. And joining me today with more is Jackie Hartman from Tennessee Achieves. Jackie, thank you so much for stopping by.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Now, Jackie, a lot of people don't necessarily know what Tennessee Achieves and Tennessee Promise are all about. So could you explain more about those for me?
Absolutely. So the Tennessee Promise program is one of Governor Haslam's main initiatives. It is the legislation that passed that allows any student in the state of Tennessee that graduates from a Tennessee high school to go to college free of tuition. So it's a really great opportunity for some students who maybe didn't think they wanted to go to college prior to this program, or who are thinking about saving money for their first couple years of college. Tennessee Achieves is the partnering organization, so we help facilitate the program, recruit mentors to work with the students through the process, and make sure that students are following along with their deadlines.
Great. Now, students, does it matter, like if, say for instance, I'm a student and I make, B's and C's, I'm not necessarily like an A student, would I still be able to try out for the program?
Yes. So there's no GPA, ACT, or income requirement. Anyone is eligible on the front end. They just have to keep up with certain requirements and deadlines along the way. So each student who is wanting to participate has to apply by November 1st. It's the deadline for all high school seniors to apply, and then once they get into the program, they have to come to a couple meetings, work with a volunteer mentor, and meet a FAFSA filing deadline of January 17th.
Right. And is there a volunteer community volunteer service program? Is it part of a component of the Tennessee Promise also?
Right, yes. So for each student who participates in the program, they have to commit at least 8 hours of community service prior to every semester that they receive funding. So we're asking the students to give back to the community that's helping them through college. We're pretty lenient as far as what we count for community service, as long as they are working for an organization and not working for a family member or getting paid. We can count it for community service, but it's 8 hours prior to every semester.
Great. So that's a good benefit, not just for the student who is, learning how to, give something back to the community, but then community benefits too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had over 700,000 hours of community service performed by Tennessee Promise students. They're going in, they're doing job shadowing to find out if they think they want to do something when they graduate, if they actually like that job. They're going in and helping at the state parks, they're going into the animal shelters, they're helping at their church, so there's a ton of different opportunities that they're doing, and it's really helping the community.
And then the success with the program so far, it seems like there have been a lot of students who've taken advantage of this, right?
Yes, so this is just the third year of the program, but for the past 2 years we've had over 16,000 students enter college with Tennessee Promise. Each year we have about 60,000 students apply to the program, which is really great. So at least everybody knows that this is an opportunity. That doesn't mean the rest of the students don't go on to college. Many of them are going out of state or to four-year schools that are not Tennessee Promise institutions, but we've got about 30,000 students who have taken part in the Tennessee Promise and gone to college with Tennessee Promise.
And it's a good thing, too, for state colleges and community colleges, too, like Austin Peay, right?
Right, yeah, absolutely. So Austin Peay is one of the Tennessee Promise institutions, so students can receive Tennessee Promise funding to go to Austin Peay for their first 5 semesters.
So that's great. So that covers most of that, right? Of that cost.
So at the community colleges and the TCATs, which are the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, those programs are completely covered. It's a full last dollar scholarship, meaning that anything that is not covered by state and federal aid is covered by Tennessee Promise. At the four-year schools, just Austin Peay as one example, the amount they receive is what they would have received at one of the community colleges, so it'll cover a good portion of it depending on what else students are eligible for.
Cool. Now, would their books be something that would be covered in that, or is that something they would need to?
No, books and supplies are not covered with Tennessee Promise, but the good thing is that if a student receives any sort of scholarship from the college or from a community organization or maybe a high school club they were involved in, or their church. Anything they receive outside of Tennessee Promise and state and federal funding can be used for books or gas or cost of living, whatever they need as a college student.
Great. Now, so far, what kind of success rate have you seen with the students who go in, say, they graduate from high school, they go into the program? How many have fulfilled the graduation requirements as part of that?
So the graduation requirements, we're not sure yet, since we haven't had students that have been in the program for long enough to actually obtain their degrees, but we're seeing a really high retention rate. So about 80% of the students are continuing on in their second semester. We're in the process of getting enrollment data for this fall, so we'll be able to see how many students came back for their second year. So we're seeing higher rates than the state averages for the students who start at community colleges and four-year schools, and hope that that continues. With the Tennessee Achieves program, we've been around a little longer than Tennessee Promise as a state organization. So we've seen some success with some of our students from the first few years. So they have about a 34% graduation rate, which is 3 times higher than the state average. So we're super excited about that. We know there's some room for improvement there, but it's definitely proven successful, and we believe that a lot of that is because they're each assigned with a volunteer mentor that can help them through the process and is there just to help when they have questions about getting into college and being successful once they get there.
Right, and that's what I was going to ask you next. It seems like those mentors really can kind of give them, I guess, a boost when they're feeling kind of like, oh, this is harder than I thought. Because I know when I was a freshman, it was like, wow, this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So how do you think those volunteers play into that support system for them?
The volunteers are really helpful. Our target student is a first-generation student, so usually there's someone in their family, they're the first in their family to be going to college, so it can be something as simple as not knowing what a semester is or not knowing what a syllabus is. That can be the deterrent for them being a successful student. So our mentors are not necessarily there to be their best friend, take them to dinner all the time, although some of them do. Most of them are just there to remind them of deadlines and be a resource for them. So they all communicate with their student a couple times a month, usually by text message, because that's the best way to get in touch with high school and college students, and remind them of the things they need to be doing to be on track to start college. And then once they get there, kind of just checking in on them. Hey, how are your classes doing? How are your grades this first semester? That way, if a student does have a roadblock or hits some sort of question that they're sort of afraid to ask someone on campus because they don't know them, they've had this friendly person communicating with them regularly and know that they can reach out to them to answer their questions. So that's really the role the mentor plays.
Great. Now, who can be a mentor?
Anyone can be a mentor. They have to be 21 years of age. Each of our mentors go through a background check, and then they go through a 1-hour training. So we host trainings all over the state where we give each mentor a handbook, kind of explain how the program works and what their expectations are and what they should expect to get out of the program working with high school and college students. And then we pair each mentor with 5 to 7 students from the high school that they choose. So each mentor chooses which high school they want to work with. So it can be the high school they graduated from, or it can be something that's close to home or close to work. We try to make it convenient to the mentors. And 5 to 7 students may sound super intimidating, but the reason we do that is because about half of the students who sign up are doing it as a backup program and really don't intend to use it. So we want each mentor to at least have a few students to work with. So you may start with 5 and have 2 that actually enter into college with Tennessee Promise.
Well, that's still pretty good, though. I mean,
Yeah.
they still get, and again, it seems like the mentor would benefit from this as well as the student, right?
Yes, absolutely. We hear from our mentors all the time that this has been super impactful and a really meaningful experience. It's not just about helping the students, but it's helping the community to realize where our students are coming from, what kind of challenges they face, and what sort of educational challenges that our state has as a whole.
Right, because there's a lot, not just, I guess, things that just, obstacles, maybe just traffic or getting to a place to, study or whatever, but just your time. I mean, we have so many different distractions in life,
Yes.
getting lunch or whatever that,
Yeah.
can compete for your time. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So mentoring is a pretty small time commitment as far as volunteer activities go. So we ask for about 10 hours annually, so less than an hour a month. it's going to that 1-hour training and then going to 2 meetings with the students. One's in high school when they're seniors, their last semester of their senior year, and then we bring them back together in October of their freshman year. So their first semester, they've been in class for a few weeks. They typically have several questions at that point, or have at least had a challenge they've come across, and we bring them back together to work with their mentors at that point. And other than those 2 meetings, they can meet outside of those individually if they want to, but it's typically texting and emailing students and just checking in on them.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you if you had to sit down with them, that might get to be, a little bit
More
strain on time,
yeah.
especially if you're a mentor who's working full time and
Exactly.
doing all that. So,
Yeah, so we try to be as efficient as possible. Our meetings are less than an hour each time, and we ask for 3 a month. So we give the mentors and students the meeting dates months in advance so that they can hopefully make it to those assigned meetings. And then other than that, it's not a huge time commitment, just checking in on them and making sure they know that you are there if they have questions.
Right. And then, like you said, if you don't have all the answers, obviously, I'm sure
Yeah.
what support system is there for the mentors who might need?
Sometimes our mentors are intimidated to sign up because it's been a long time since they've been in college, or it's been a long time since they applied, or maybe never applied or went to college, which is fine. We just ask that our students or our mentors have the desire to help the students succeed. So we sort of hold our mentor's hand while they're holding the students. So we send reminders to mentors, say, hey, your meeting is this week. Make sure you reach out to your students and let them know. Or, hey, the deadline for completing the FAFSA is this week, if you can reach out. And then when students come back with questions they don't know, we always tell them, just forward them to us. We'll get the answer to you, and you can get it back to your student, or we will work with the students individually if they feel uncomfortable with whatever it is or don't feel like they have all the answers. So we have about 60,000 students apply each year, work with 9,000 mentors across the state, and we have a staff of 17. So we can't get to all those students without our mentors, and we wouldn't be a successful program without them. So here in Montgomery County, we need about 170 mentors and only have 90 at this point. So we need over 100 more, or about 100 more, to work with the 1,700 students we expect to apply this year. And we're trying to get all those up and going by December 1st. So we have kind of it's crunch time to get all the mentors we need to work with the students, and we're hoping we can get them.
Yeah, because we've got, like a little bit of time here,
Yeah,
a month or a
about
month and a
6
half.
weeks.
Yeah, or so. So
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
Now, have you, because I know we've been announcing it and been telling people about it on our Facebook page about, hey, we need mentors for Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Achieves, sign up. Have you heard or had a response of a lot of people calling or checking in with you as a result of us trying to get the word out yet?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a growth in mentor recruitment. The last 2 weeks have been really great. So people are really helping us push the mentoring component. We post on our website where everyone stands. So if you ever are curious about how many mentors we still need, so you can convince all your friends to sign up for mentors with you at the same high school or whatever, it's posted and updated at least a couple times a week. If you want to mentor, it's a simple 10-minute or less application on our website at tnachieves.org.
Cool. So that's what I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
Nancy. You could just step us through what can people do if they're interested. They go to tnachieves.org.
Yep, they'll just go to tnachieves.org. Each mentor will fill out mainly just contact information and choose their first and second choice high school. So we try to get everybody with their first choice high school, but if we have too many mentors at one high school, we'll ask them to go to their second choice. And then once you've signed up, we send a link to sign up for a training. So the trainings are held in November and January, and then mentors will be assigned their students in March and start working with them in March.
Cool. I know the program is still, this is like you're saying, we're coming up on the third, year of this, but have you had any people who have mentored in the past say, hey, it was such a great experience, I want to do that again?
Yeah, absolutely. We have about 60% of our mentors return each year. So we wish it was 100%, and then we wouldn't have to go out and find new ones, but we always like to have the new ones come in to give us a new perspective on the program. We're constantly asking our mentors what worked, what didn't, and changing to fit their needs or what they think would work better. So we have a ton of mentors that come back year after year, and each year is a little bit different. So your 5 students the first year may not need a lot of help. Maybe there's one that has a parent with a ton of questions, and then your next year, all of them need a lot of help. So it just depends on the year. So that's what our mentors tell us, is that this year was so different than last year, but it just depends on the students, and it's a fun way to get involved with not a huge time commitment.
Right,
So,
really. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Now, have you had any students who have completed or gotten near the completion of their requirements for Tennessee Promise said, hey, I would like to be a mentor because I had such a great positive experience with mine?
Yes. We have had several students come back from the first few years when we were just Tennessee Achieve, so before Promise, and they've graduated from college. We actually have one student who was in our first year in 2009 who then transferred on to Austin P after he graduated from Pellissippi and now works for us as an employee. And then we have several students who work as mentors, helping the students that they were just a few years ago. So those kind of sometimes make the best mentors because they're fresh out of college and they went through the program themselves, so they understand the importance of getting everything done on time. They make really great mentors.
Yeah, so like you said, it's fresh in their mind. They know what it's like.
Yeah,
'cause it is.
absolutely.
There's so much to do.
Yeah, it changes all the time, so we're constantly trying to keep up with what's going on with college admissions and being successful students and helping students get to the resources they need to be successful.
Right. Now, what about the college loan debt? To kind of circle back to the Tennessee Achieves and Tennessee Promise program, we talked a little bit about how, it basically helps pay for most of the students' college.
Right.
How does it help offset college debt? Because I know a lot of students, and of course myself included, because I'm in a grad school's program, you have some college debt. How does this help offset some of that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our biggest goal is for students to graduate from college without debt. Of course, there are students, the majority of our students work while they're in college because there are other expenses than tuition that they'll have to cover. And a lot of our students do have to take out some loans here and there to pay for books or whatever else they need to pay as college students. But the goal is that students graduate with a lot less debt. So even if a student wanted to go get their bachelor's degree, Tennessee Promise is only for 2.5 years, but you can do your first 2 years with Tennessee Promise and then transfer on to a four-year school or continue on the school that you are at and get your bachelor's degree, but you've saved yourself $10,000, $20,000 in tuition costs. So a lot of students are looking into doing that and saving a ton of money. We have actually about over 20% of less students took out a loan last year with Tennessee, or with the passing of Tennessee Promise. So we're thinking that has a huge impact on the students taking out loans, but we're definitely watching that.
Right. And Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Achieves sort of community effects. Could you talk more about how, once these students graduate and get their degrees, how that's going to impact the job force down the road?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have actually done a study on the financial impact or the implications of the workforce for Tennessee, and this is actually part of the Drive to 55. So it's estimated that 55% of our adults will need some sort of post-secondary credential by the year 2025 to actually fit the jobs that will be available in Tennessee. So this is one of the main initiatives under that big goal, the overarching statewide goal to get 55%. Right now we're only sitting at about 34% of our adults have some sort of post-secondary credential. So we're hoping that this helps us reach that 55%. And if it does, if we do get to the 55%, that's over $7 billion annually of additional earnings to Tennessee residents. So it's a huge financial impact and can make a huge difference.
Right. Well, when you have a more educated workforce, that's got to be a big benefit just all around, it seems, for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Now, could we talk a little bit more about just the process that people go through? Because I know we've got a lot of high schoolers who are getting, it's getting close to the halfway mark, and they're probably thinking, if it's my senior year, what do I need to be thinking about if I want to take part in Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Achieves? What should they think about doing right now?
Right, yeah. So the first step is applying to the program. Students have until November 1st, so just less than 2 weeks away. You just go on to tnpromise.gov and complete a really simple application. It takes, again, less than 10 minutes to complete that application. Once you've done that, the first thing that students need to do is complete the FAFSA. So that's the free application for federal student aid. It's an online application for students to be eligible for any state or federal funding. So that's a Pell Grant, that's the Hope Scholarship, and that's also Tennessee Promise. That's due by January 17th, and parents and students can start doing it now. It opened October 1st. So that would be the next step. And then after that, the next thing that students would need to do is look and see when their next meeting is. So each student who participates in Tennessee Promise goes to a mandatory 1-hour meeting in either February, March, or April. They're all posted on our website, tnachieves.org. And so they can see when their next meeting is. Go ahead and mark it in the calendar and save the date. And at that meeting, they'll meet their mentors, and we'll talk about everything that they need to be doing in the college admissions process to be able to start in the fall immediately after high school.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now back to mentors too, because again, people who might just be tuning in,
Yeah.
we need some mentors.
Yeah.
Particularly in Montgomery County, over 100, right? That
Yes,
we still need.
we need about 100 mentors in Montgomery County.
Yeah. So what process, if someone's interested in being a mentor, what do they need to do to get that ball rolling?
Yeah, to be a mentor, just a simple application on our website. So it's tnachieves.org. They'll fill out a mentor application. So we have their contact information and their choice high schools. And then as soon as they do that, they'll sign up for a 1-hour training, either in November or January, so they can get a handbook and find out more information about what it means to be a mentor and work with high school seniors and college freshmen as they transition and become successful college students.
Great. And I wanted to ask you too, I'd seen some news reports about some people have been saying, oh, I got a phone call from Tennessee Promise or Tennessee Achieves about they needed some information or credit card or other private information. And that was like, no, that's not legit, right?
That is not anything that has to do with us. So that was definitely something that shouldn't have happened, and it didn't come out of our office or from the state, but some people did get phone calls to open a credit card if you want to take part in Tennessee Promise, and don't do that.
Right. So yeah, we just want to warn people.
Yeah,
don't.
ignore
That's
that.
not- yeah. So just go to your website, and
Yep.
yeah, there's tnpromise.gov for students, and then tennesseeachieves.org for mentors,
For
right?
mentors, yes.
Great.
There's a link for the mentors on tnpromise.gov too, to keep it simple. So
Good.
tnpromise.gov will get you where you need to go.
Great. Now, Jackie, I'm out of questions, but what else did I not ask you about that you might want to address?
Yeah, I think that this is just something I always like to stress to high school students, even if you don't think you want to go to college right now, or even if you don't think you want to take part in a Tennessee Promise institution, this is your only opportunity to have 2.5 years of free college tuition. We don't ask that much of the students, so it's a really great time to take advantage, sign up for the program, and if something changes between now and August, you've got this to fall back on. So I would definitely encourage every student to apply, and hope that anyone who's listening to this signs up to be a mentor if they've already graduated from college or are interested in helping these students. It can be a really great eye-opening experience, and we definitely need the help.
Right, and then it's a good thing, not just for the students and the mentors, but like you were talking about, it's a good overall thing for the community and for the state, help.
Ultimately, we're hoping to make Tennessee a better place to live, so we all want that, right?
Right, we do. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for your time and for stopping by.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you
great,
for
thank
having
you.
me.
And I'm Micah Terrell for GovsTV and 91.9 Public Affairs.